Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I
Camera.
literally don't know how to do this. I've never done this before ever.
It's gonna be the first Instagram live for you.
Yeah, I'm not a social media person. The only reason I have an Insta is because of art. Like I literally don't. I would not have one.
I aspire to be the same way one day.
I I don't.
Let's put
I
it that
wish
way.
I was more social. I really like. Yeah. I
It's,
no.
I mean, we can get into it, but I started with social media, like going this hard with social media because of work. Like, if it
hmm
wasn't for that, I wouldn't have even gone this hard with my art. I don't think. I think I would have been like definitely off the grid.
No, for sure. I mean, I think Insta in general is like a really great platform now for like everyone. Because like back in the day, I think it was harder to like, especially being an illustrator, because like you would have to like send stuff to
Mhm.
editors and yeah, you would have to like mail like by hand. You would have to do it. Like it was really hard. And then they would have to like choose to look through everything. Maybe you would get chosen, maybe you wouldn't. But now with like
And
Insta, they could literally just find you, and brands can find you, like anyone can.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah,
So we're lucky that like we're in this time now where
in
I
this
think it's
time,
easier. Yeah.
it's a different age for sure.
Yeah, because a lot of like my professors, I think some of them like try to be, they would say, and you would have to like move to New York or like a big city for sure, and you would
hmm
have to go into like the offices too, and like wait to meet with people, and they could, one of my professors, he was like, he had an appointment, he waited like hours, and they were like, oh, we forgot about you. Like they still saw his work and he like got it, but I don't know, it was just like a lot of work
That
back in the
sounds.
day.
Yeah. Let's get into that, but let's before we do it, because I want to
Yeah.
talk to you. I want to ask you questions about that for sure. Let's
Okay,
do
sure.
introductions.
Yeah.
Can you tell me
Yeah.
how to pronounce your name? Because I don't think I know.
Oh yeah, Anya.
Anya. Okay, so
hmm
here's my Instagram friend, Anya. I basically
Yeah.
coined you as my friend because I'm a big fan of your work. This
Thank
you're actually
you.
the first guest I've had on this show that I've created that I don't know personally, but I feel connected to. So I invited you simply because I am a fan, and I had already been like in your DMs, just like this is amazing.
Yeah,
So
I know you've been so nice. Yeah, like and you
I felt like it
comment
was
on my
time.
stuff. Yeah.
So I mean, I only know of you as the illustrator who creates works that are inspired by and kind of bring awareness to fashion, um, feminine, or I don't even know how to like fem's rights. I'm like, how do you word these things?
I
And
mean like
just
feminism, like or
yeah,
like especially like intersectional like feminism where it's like all races, all types of women.
yes, exactly. You have the
Yeah.
words for it.
Yeah.
And just like overall inclusion, I feel. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I don't know you personally, so can you give us a brief like outline of like who you are as an artist, like what's your background, what would you call your title, what do you usually tell people? Like Anya.
Uh yeah, I mean I'm an illustrator, and then I definitely like focus on like kind of women's issues like mental health. I definitely like love fashion, beauty, like a lifestyle, like I'm interested in the industry.
Mm,
And then yeah, definitely like women. I feel like yeah, most, I mean now it's different. People are definitely drawing like more diversity, but I from the jump, like I was like I'm going to draw women of all colors because women of all colors are around me. Like these are my friends. Like it's not just like me.
yeah,
Um, so and then and I don't think I do. I sometimes I vary body shapes. I want to do that more, or like especially like trans and like people who are like disabled. Like I want to draw more that like be even more inclusive. But like for now, it's kind of like I draw like what's around me, who I see in my life. So that's how I usually go about it. Yeah.
yeah. I definitely see that in your work for sure. I feel the same way about wanting to be more inclusive in my work, and I talk about it a lot with my sister, who's also an artist, and like what my goals are. But I haven't gotten to a place where I feel comfortable like actually articulating that in my art just yet. So soon, hopefully.
I mean, it could be different for you because I feel like not a lot of people, like it's only recently gotten diverse. I think a lot of black artists still only draw like themselves and not all types of women, but that's not like a bad thing because you are putting like your image out there, which like isn't how uh it was before. For me, like there's enough white people, like there's enough like white women out there, so I'm just like I'm definitely gonna draw like all colors, all shapes, and stuff like that.
I
Yeah.
understand. That makes sense. All right, so I think I had it on there before. Let me just turn my camera on. I didn't really know what I wanted to draw. I haven't drawn anything other than architecture stuff. I'm in school for architecture. Um,
Oh,
since
no, that's
like
super cool. I could never do that. That's like a lot
September.
of math.
You would think it's actually not as much math as it probably should be. so, I'm getting off the hook right now, but I really haven't come up with the idea what to draw today. So I'm gonna work with this template that I had from an old project, and then see what happens. What are you gonna do today, you think?
Yeah, I got nothing. I'm just gonna talk. I'll show like at the end. I have this pattern I've been working on. It's like in Photoshop, so I'll like show that at the
Mhm.
end. But
Okay, cool.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm a great multitasker. Like I think, yeah, if I were to draw, like I would just like not be paying attention, I think. Yeah.
I tend to zone out too, but we're gonna chat while we create things. Sorry, my tripod is doing a thing right now. Um, And well, I'll periodically turn my camera around to show you guys what I'm working on. I'm trying to, do a little bit of both this time. I work with my markers as normal. I use Prismacolor. I'm not sure if it's flipped on the camera, but yeah. So we'll just chat in between working. My friend Antonio Stigil says that he loves the colors that you use in your work. That's one of my
Oh,
favorite things about your work
thank
too.
you. Oh, thanks. Yeah.
What do you have like inspiration that you take things from in your work? Is
Yeah.
it purely fashion or like where does your inspiration come from?
Um, I think definitely fashion, like ever since I was young. I actually like Asian comics, like manga. That's what I actually started drawing from when I was little. Like that's what I started drawing from. I don't know if you
Oh,
know like I don't know if you know like Card Capture Sakura. It was like an old. Okay, it's fine.
like no.
No, it's like Sailor Moon. It's like similar, like
Oh,
little
okay.
like magical girls. But anyway, the costume design. That's what I've like fell in love with. Like the costume designs were really nice, were great. And I wanted to draw comics when I was younger, but I would always end up just drawing like their clothing and like figures. Like I just like wasn't good at like I'm really bad at like backgrounds and like literally anything else. Yeah. Yeah.
I spend a lot of when I work on my pieces, I spend most of the time on the backgrounds. Like I can whip out the person or whatever the figure is pretty
Yeah.
quickly. But the background, I spend so much time on. Even if it seems like it's simple in the end, to me, it takes a long
Yeah.
time just to get the idea
Yeah.
out and like figure out what makes sense in the context of things. So I
Yeah.
feel you.
I usually end up abstracting my backgrounds a lot or making them very simple because like I don't want to do like maybe it's laziness, I don't know, but I just like don't want to work on the detail, so I just like I mean it works out in the end. So,
I
but
think
yeah,
it creates its own style in a way. So I think
yeah.
it worked out. It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was comics, then like when I grew up I started looking at fashion editorials and like magazines.
Hmm.
And I don't know, that was just like always like really I just loved looking at like fashion, like beauty pictures. That just was like always interesting to me and I would always like draw that. And then yeah, and then when I got older, I think I started, especially when I got an Insta, I started looking at like different illustrators and artists. Like there's one I really like, Bijou Carmen. Her work is like it's
Okay.
like it's like fashion illustration. She's like really big right now, but I and I kind of used to take from her color palettes actually. Now I don't. I just do whatever I like, but I used to take from her color palettes. I used to try to like kind of copy her work, but her work is like it's more it's like very detailed and I like more like basic shapes. I mean, I feel like that's
Hmm.
what people end up doing. You take from like people you like and then you
Create your
um
own.
yeah, so it's like even now I'm still doing that or like trying stuff out. I just yeah, I failed a lot, like for sure. Like I made really bad work in college. Like mostly college, my work sucked. Like it was pretty bad. Like we would have critique and they would be like, "Do you have anything to say about this piece?" Like to other people about my piece and nothing. I would get no reactions
Wait,
because
no.
I'm
Okay,
serious, my work
so
was pretty bad.
what do you mean by bad though? Because I think that's subjective. Like you were being hard on yourself,
No, like I mean,
or
it's just I didn't have at that time I wasn't doing a lot of fashion beauty stuff yet because or I was doing it more in my like my downtime because even though I went for to school for illustration, it was very animation, comic, video gamey heavy. Like
okay.
or it was very fine arts. Like there wasn't people interested in what I was interested in, like fashion illustration. Like there wasn't so I didn't really do that in class until like especially the first couple years of college, it's like foundation courses. So I wasn't
Hmm.
really allowed to do stuff I wanted until like my junior, senior year. So when I
Don't you
started
hate
doing,
that?
yeah, yeah, that was like, I definitely did a lot of, yeah, that's why a lot of my work, because I was forced to like use, I mean, I understand, but like, I'm not good at like, like oil painting or stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I don't know, a lot of like traditional media I'm actually not really good at. I ended up
Why do I keep
use
hearing this from digital artists? I'm cracking up.
huh?
I keep hearing this from digital artists. The last person I had on,
Yeah.
she does her work digitally, and I asked her because I feel like it's like this unspoken thing that everybody kind of know exists, where people either you're in the digital world and you're like, I am not touching anything traditional, or you're
Mm,
traditional. You don't. If for some reason those people don't believe that digital art is like considered real art. That was a thing for a long time, and
yeah.
I don't know if it still exists, but I do hear it periodically, and I'm like. But I know some people that do all of it. Like it's not, it can't be that bad. But
No,
I get what you mean.
I I personally I'm just not very good at like blending or the way I've always worked is like in shapes, like in big like
Mhm.
spaces of colors, and that is more of a graphic design thing. All throughout school, I was told you're a designer, but I just like didn't know what that was. Um, So I actually, before I went to digital, I used gouache. If you look like at the end of my Insta, they're paintings. Like the,
I was gonna ask you about that because I've never used it, but I'm kind of fascinated with all the work I've seen has been used with gouache. I always like it, like whatever the
mm,
outcome is, even if I don't necessarily understand the subject. It's something about the way the medium looks that I really kind of I might dabble in that at some point because it seems interesting.
yeah, no, a lot of people who usually do digital, well, I can't speak for everyone. It depends on what their style is. Like there are digital people that still have stuff that looks like real paintings or like are really blended, but people who are into like very graphic stuff, with like big shapes of color, usually you end up using like gouache. So I was using gouache and I switched to digital because it's just I'm also interested in like commercial work.
Mm,
So
okay.
if you have clients, it's easier to fix it digitally. That's also why so many people have switched to digital if they're
Yeah.
interested in like yeah, like illustration for clients and stuff. It's easier to fix things and change the ideas up. And in general, like I also have a lot of anxiety with like traditional media. Um, it like my anxiety just comes through like really badly because like once you put a mark down, you can't really take it back, and that's always
I
been
think
like,
I think I hear that a lot too, and I hear that from traditional artists a lot too, where the not being able to just press delete. Like
yeah,
you have to commit completely once you put the pen down or the paintbrush down. So
yeah,
I get to.
yeah, I definitely want to. I'm definitely gonna revisit. Like I still like gouache. I've painted with it recently. I want to revisit it, but like I would hopefully I'll be more comfortable or like more confident. I feel like people know that do traditional are very like confident because like once they put a mark down, like you can tell when someone, you know, like when things are sketchy or it's hesitant. But then like you can tell when line work is like very confident and like not like a lot of effort, which like is a good thing. So hopefully I get to that place.
I mean, maybe it's just because I'm only seeing the end product, but I feel like your work has a similar feel to that. Like it may not have that like
Um,
painterly effect that people try to go for with their digital work to emulate traditional work, but it has a similar, I don't know how to explain it. Like it gives me a
not
vibe of like it was a stream of consciousness. Like you kind of like doodled over whatever and then you made it more concise in the end. But
No, I think I know what you're talking about. I do that on purpose. So like it's the line work where it's not like super perfect. Like I kind of well, first of all, I use a gouache brush anyway. When I
okay.
work, I always use a gouache brush, and then my line work, I usually put the lines down, and then I use an eraser, and I purposely make it look not perfect.
Okay.
Um, but for me, that's more comfortable than me trying in traditional media to make it perfect, because that's what I used to do. And it would end up looking like that, how it is, like not perfect. But I wouldn't like that. I don't know.
Because
It's
you
just
were
easier
going
for
for
me.
something different.
It's just easier for me to like to purposely make it look not nice rather than just like, yeah, make it look super nice. Yeah.
I like the human quality of that. Like I when I was younger, I definitely was guilty of going to museums and seeing work that I was like, oh, my cousin could make that piece, or like I can make that piece, and then like kind of like hating on the artist because they made it. But it's something about that human quality of just like knowing that someone's hand is what created that
Yeah.
thing. So even with digital work, I tend to favor the ones that look more like someone who might be considered amateur, or they're looking for that like more rugged feel in their work, if that makes
hmm Yeah,
so.
I don't
Yeah,
think it's like I don't think it's amateur. I think even in museums, people think it looks like amateur, but if they try it themselves, you couldn't. Maybe you could do it. I know what you're
it's
talking about. It's like
hard.
the gesture. It's the gesture. And then it takes like design. Like you have to know design, like where to put stuff. Because when normal people or amateur people try to copy these things, you can tell that
Mhm.
yeah, that it doesn't look right or that it looks bad because they don't really understand design or like on their
Or even
gestures, you can, yeah,
I feel the same way when people try to place certain colors. Like you can tell someone that
yeah,
understands color theory versus some, and sometimes it's innate. Some people just have that, naturally. But sometimes people really have to learn. Like you can have all the talent, but then you put the wrong color palette, and it's not easily loved in the same way that
yeah,
somebody who has like learned how to do that.
yeah. No, because like a lot of, yeah, like abstract work, that is actually like pretty hard, like to make something to make it look like that interesting and that like effortless. Because I feel like,
I I can't do it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
cannot. It's not for me.
yeah. But yeah, no, my end result for, especially lately, I think when I first started digital, I was trying to make it look kind of too perfect, but now I've gotten like, yeah, like more comfortable with it. So I do try to make it look like it's kind of been painted for sure.
Hmm.
And I don't know, my anxiety is like better working digitally, so that's the main reason. That and like with clients. So that's the main reason why I use it. I do want to get back into that's the thing. I think I never really did traditional media for fun. Like it was always like for a project or like
Mm.
so I think I always like associate it with like nervousness. That's why I get so nervous when I'm like this has to be perfect. But yeah, I think I just need to have probably more fun with it because digitally I feel like it's easier to have more fun because there is like a go back button. So yeah, so it's easier to experiment, I would say. And especially like the way I am, I change my mind all the time. Like I change my
Same.
color palettes yeah, so it's like with
Hmm.
traditional media you have to commit and like I I guess I'm just not like that type of person.
I feel like I'm crazy indecisive, my friends know, but I feel like I feel like a sense of security in knowing that I have to just commit to whatever happens. Like even doing this, there's some lines that I
Yeah.
don't I'm not necessarily like attached to, but forcing myself to just like this is what's gonna be there now unless you make it different.
Yeah, I think
It's,
I need to get to that
um,
place because I end up making lines and then I'm like, oh, I hate these lines. And I want to, and then yeah, I just like beat myself up a lot. It's like I don't know, like my mentality needs to be better. Yeah, I need to like be like that more.
is Sigil still in here? Because if you've ever, I don't know if you've ever heard of him because I post him a lot. Um, but the way he does his work is exactly what you're saying. Like if you, I watch him on Twitch a lot, and he will just over and over and over do the same line, and it looks perfect to the person watching because you're like, I see what you're trying to do, but he knows what he wants as a result, and so I just like crack up every time I see him do any of his drawings because the line will be just like a simple straight line, and then he'll do it like 12 times before
Yeah.
he's like, this is the one I'm committing to. And he does different
Yeah.
work too. So I totally understand what you're saying. I don't know. I think if I had to give you advice on like how to get into traditional art again, I would say just play around. Like take a day where you don't have a prompt or anything, just play with the colors, use the paint or pencil or whatever you decide to use on a
Yeah.
blank piece of paper and just go for it.
No, I agree. Like I just need to like have more fun with it or yeah, loosen up. And usually is like when I don't try, that's when I make my best work, which sounds kind of bad. Not
Mm-hmm.
try, not try, but like I'm like good at loose
Not
like
thinking is
gestural
hard.
stuff. Yeah. 'Cause like you can tell if someone's thinking it's gonna be like very tight and like rigid. You can tell when
Mm-hmm.
someone's like kind of like loose and the lines look better. Yeah. I mean, no, I've been kind of, I mean, obviously not right now because like COVID, but like I do maybe want to take like a figure painting class or something like that, like in a group setting. I think because that would be fun. Like it's a class group thing.
Those are my
And
favorite things ever. I love doing those kinds of classes, even though I feel like I'm so out of practice. Um,
mm-hmm.
I there it's something about like the time sensitiveness of the whole thing. Like you have to do this
Yeah.
one pose in five minutes, and the next pose in 2 seconds, and then the next one in 3 minutes, and then you like gradually go up until it's like 20 minutes of this one pose, and you
Yeah.
realize like, oh, I like this kind of gesture when I don't know, using the paintbrush or the pencil, and I don't know. There's so much fun.
No, yeah, I especially like the beginning when it's like gesture drawing. Like I really love like gestures because it's like 10 seconds, like 30 seconds. That's all you get.
Mhm.
And then I don't know, and those, I feel like I always like the gestures better. Those are definitely the best ones. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I like them better. Like the line works more interesting because then when you end up having like more time to do stuff, you start overthinking and you start adding stuff that you don't really need to
Yep.
add and like all this stuff. It's just yeah, but I really want to do it in the future again. Especially I think when I'm by myself, I end up getting in my head too much.
Oh
So I
yeah,
think
for
it'd
sure.
be, yeah, yeah.
That's why it
So
helps to step away from the piece. Step away. Really look at it, or just don't look at it for a little bit, and then come back. See if you
see,
see something
that's the
different.
problem. No, that's the problem I had. Like, and this is like an anxiety thing where it's like I could not look away. I could not back away. Like
You gotta do it.
I know, but I would just keep going and it's like I know this is getting worse. I know it is, but I'm like gonna still do it.
I'm gonna
I
keep
don't know, it's like
doing it.
insane. I don't know, it was too much. I just need to change myself. But no, but that's why I want to do a class because it's like yeah, they like time you and then the teacher whoever is like, oh, okay, stop, move on to I need like what is it? Structure. I need structure. Or I need someone to like force me to like back away for sure. I can't I don't
Oh
have
my god.
self-discipline. I think that's what it is. I have no discipline.
I I feel like I have discipline once I start. Like right now, I'm doing this, but if I don't finish this by the time we end, I'm gonna just be like, I'll get to it later. like, and I just won't
Yeah.
finish it. I don't know. I want to, before we keep talking, so for everybody that just came in or people that are joining later on, this is my Instagram friend, Ania. She's the illustrator, fashionista, and I would call you a feminist activist or
Yeah,
equal rights
yeah.
activist.
Equal
Um,
rights. Okay.
um,
I do want everyone to have equal rights.
so yeah, I asked her to join us today for Make With Me, the pop-up episode, because I'm obsessed with her digital work. I like your gouache paintings too, your traditional work too. So I just didn't think about
Thanks.
if you do other stuff. Um, but yeah, we're just chatting about art and like what makes us feel confident, I guess, and our work and maybe some steps that we want to take outside of that. I have a million colors of markers in front of me and next to me because I am being indecisive again and trying to figure out what colors I want to actually use. If you have a color you want me to use in this drawing, put it in the chat. Um, and we're gonna just keep chatting. Are you working while we're talking, or are you gonna just chat with me today?
No, I'm just chatting. I was just saying, I have like a pattern I already did, so I'll just show at the end, like, oh, I made this pattern recently.
Okay. Maybe,
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't mind, do you want to go through some of your pieces and I can just ask you questions? Because I always have a million questions.
Uh, you mean like on my iPad or something? Which
Yeah,
piece? I
I
can
mean,
pull it up. Which piece? I can pull it up.
ones you showed before. I don't really know the names of them. I'm sorry.
It's not,
Um,
there are no names. Just like describe it and I'll find it.
I like the ones you did where they're like like vision board almost of
Oh,
clothing
okay.
patterns. Like a,
All right.
I think
I'll
you have a
pull
couple
one.
of those.
Yeah.
I think I like them so much because I am guilty of incorporating different pieces into my work that I would never be able to afford. And
Yeah,
that
no,
was
I'm the
like
same.
I looked at that and I was like, this is me all the way. Like I would draw all the shirts and dresses and shoes and even cars or houses that I would never be able to afford to live in. Just to have a like a feeling of them being close to me.
Yeah, I do that with clothing. Like, I'm the same. It's kind of like I see a whole bunch of stuff and I want it, but I have no money, so I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna draw it because somehow that makes me feel better. I don't really know how. Um, but yeah, I do that. I mean, these are like, I do these like maybe in an hour. Like, these are definitely like my sketches when I don't really feel like doing a real piece, or in general lately, my personal work. I've been very, just like sketchy or just drawing like objects or items because it's a
Mm.
lot to like think about a composition. Like I'm not really gonna do that unless I like um have a client or someone wants me to do it. I just like don't have the energy for it right now, really.
I'm the same way. Is that a result of 2020 or is that just like you're having a moment where you need to take a step back?
Yeah, like 2020. Because like I actually think when all of this started, I actually kind of was obsessively making work. That's why I was posting a lot, and it was like a lot of more like complex stuff. Because, well, in general, I wanted to redo my portfolio anyway,
Hmm.
especially because I've only been drawing digitally for maybe like a year and a half. It hasn't been that long. Uh,
Oh, really?
yeah, no, I didn't draw digitally at all in school. Like my last year, I was still using gouache. Also, gouache like also takes a lot. That's also something. I'm like very impatient, and it would just take so long to draw. I don't know. I just like this is I tried. I don't know. Do you know like a Cintiq?
No. Mm-mm.
It's like a type of tablet. So there was one in our library, and I ended up making a piece from it. For yeah, my senior year, I made like one digital piece and I was like, oh, I like this. Like this was so much like simpler and I could still like kind of make it look painterly or like add my like line work. So after that I got I heard of Procreate before and I knew it was really good. And I asked my parents because I was graduating and my birthday's in the summer, so I was like, oh, can I get like iPad? Like I'll really use it. Like this is actually basically going to be for my career. Yeah,
You had
like
to
this
convince
is
them, like, I'll really use it, I promise.
yeah. I was like, this is for my career. Like this isn't like just an iPhone or whatever. Like this is like for real. And even when I first got it, I definitely used it, but I didn't really start using it till like maybe a couple months afterwards. Well, when I had more, I started having more free time. Oh, well, I quit my job, so I
Well,
had
that
more
would do
free.
it.
yeah, so I had more free time, so I just started, yeah, I started doing a whole bunch of digital stuff, especially with like quarantine and stuff. I was just trying a whole bunch of things out. Um, and yeah, so I've just been like trying a whole bunch of stuff. That's how like I have like my style now. I think it's changed a lot like in the past year, especially. Um, yeah, and I've been getting like, yeah, really good feedback, and people have been like DMing me for like, like commissions or stuff like that, which
That's
is
good.
good,
Yeah.
which is good. But of course, like, they don't want to pay like as much as we're trying to get them to pay. They're trying to get it for
Uh,
cheap.
it happens across the board. It really it does. And I wish I had like a solution to tell you, but I don't.
Yeah, no, I know.
I even now I'm working out. I mean, I made my the Jersey slice is now an LLC. I got my certificate
Oh,
and
that's
everything.
great.
Um, but I'm trying to like give people what they want because people have told me, oh, this whole time, the stuff that they love that I create and like they would want to see more of. But sometimes those things are just like they cost a lot more to make. And so if I take a long
Yeah,
break from something, it's because of that, not because I don't want to do it anymore. But I'm conscious of the fact that people like them. So I'm trying to keep that in mind. But then it's also the thought of like, am I doing this for the right reason if no one's gonna buy it? Because while art is fun and it makes me happy, I still need to pay my bills.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of like, I feel like a lot of people, yeah, you do the stuff you like as personal work, and then, yeah, you really do have to like cater to people, like what's popular and stuff. I mean, I'm lucky that my stuff, like people like really like it. So
Hmm.
usually the stuff I like to do, usually people like, I wanna get into like selling stuff, but I just like production costs. I know like I would have to find someone to make stuff and blah blah blah. I like really don't have a lot of money to like, I mean, hopefully in the future, because especially I really like making patterns, and I want to get into print design and like packaging design. And
Oh
there
yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I've
Hmm.
seen so many people. I mean, it's possible. I'm trying to possibly get a job doing that. I'm like working on my portfolio now, which is why I'm making like patterns. I'm like really interested in like cosmetic packaging.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, no, I think it's something I can, because like I'm really trying to get a creative job right now. I mean, I'm still freelancing, but that's like super inconsistent, and I'm kind of a recent grad, so like no one really knows me yet. So
Right.
I've been trying to apply for like graphic design jobs, but I'm not like a huge graphic designer because it's a lot of typography, and that's just really
Mhm.
not my thing. Like, and especially graphic design now, because my friend is in graduate school right now for like advertising, for like as an art director, and it's like insane now. Like you have to do everything. It's not just like type and illustration. You have to like do video editing. You have
Yeah.
to know animation, like After Effects. Like it's a lot. Like you and I just I feel like eventually like even animation, like I mean on Procreate it's like pretty simple. It's really not that hard. I but I we'll see if I try After Effects. It seems. In general, like Photoshop and Illustrator, I'm not a huge fan because it's so,
Really?
yeah, it's like, it's just, it's so technical. Because
I
that's
feel
why,
like I was gonna say, I feel like the apps have made things so much easier for people that learning how to do it the long way is for sure, for lack of better words, I feel like makes people not want to get into digital well because that's what the businesses want you to know how to use. You know what I mean?
mhm,
If you're doing, especially if you're doing like a large marketing campaign, I mean, you might start out with your initial ideas on Procreate. I don't know that I know of any that were created from Procreate and then, put on a billboard. Maybe it does exist, and I just haven't heard of it. But I think they're so new that some of the companies don't necessarily treat it the same as, say, Photoshop or Illustrator.
no, yeah, I agree. I definitely think Illustrator is still like, definitely the main, they're definitely still the main thing, but Procreate is definitely most illustrators, well, at least that I like follow, literally they use Procreate because it's so much like intuitive, like it's easier. You still feel like you're drawing. The problem with Illustrator, I do like the vector, like I like the clean look, but when you use it, or when you're using it, it's very technical. Like it's not, you don't feel like you're drawing. Photoshop, it's easier to feel like you're drawing, but I still feel like it's so complex. Like with the layer, their layer system and all that is like really complex. Procreate, they just really dumbed it down. Like they really,
Which
it's
is
just
great.
no, yeah, that's why I love it. Cause like especially since because technically I grew up as like a traditional artist. That's why I didn't get into those programs for so long. I only really use Photoshop to like create my patterns. I draw the illustrations in Procreate and then I put into Photoshop and use the program to
Mhm.
like make the seamless pattern, or I use Illustrator for that. I mean Illustrator, I've used it for like pattern, like creating like floral design. It's just not the same. I think it's but actually Procreate is getting, because before you would have to draw like traditionally, scan it, and then you would make the pattern. But now
Yeah.
because yeah, and then with Procreate, I feel like it's so much, even compared to Photoshop, I think their brushes look a lot more like realistically like traditional materials. Like my gouache brush, I think is pretty like accurate
Hmm.
when I use like traditional like normal gouache. Um,
So,
but
okay, you said you
mhm.
didn't always start in
Oop.
digital, which I mean is expected, but um, when do you think you became like an artist? When did you start calling yourself an artist?
Uh, I mean, I mean, it's always been like that. Like I've been drawing like literally ever since I was a child. I told you I like drew from like comic books. That was like a huge thing. I still did that in middle school. High
Hmm.
school, I started taking lessons and I did like, like still boring still lifes and stuff like that. I mean, still lifes can be interesting
But
sometimes,
they're
but
not always, but I understand.
yeah, I used to have to draw I actually used to draw a lot of flowers, which might be why I use it in my work a lot.
Mm.
Yeah, I used to draw a lot. Or in general, I really like drawing like organic shapes, like with organic lines. I've always hated perspective. I've always been bad at it. Uh,
Oh, yeah, architecture is not for you.
yeah, no,
Like,
no, I know it's not. Yeah. No,
it's not.
literally. No, that's why I avoided backgrounds for so long. Like I hate drawing straight lines and all of that. And why most of my work is very like flat. There's usually not too much perspective. And then when I do the backgrounds, I do usually like abstract it because I just like don't actually want to draw straight lines basically. Um,
I want to know, and this is a challenge, which obviously you don't have to take, but I feel like because you know that you're saying like the perspective of any kind is not really necessarily your strong suit or like something you gravitate toward, how would it look if we didn't do that anymore? Like, what if we totally skewed the background to whatever's happening as like the main focus? I think it could be interesting, but I don't know what that would take to like perfect.
to make wait, what? The background what?
Like if you were to totally skew the background to whatever your main focus is in your work,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like as opposed to like really pushing through. I guess that would take knowing how to do a perspective to skew it, but
Yeah, I see,
um
even you talking about it, I'm just like, I don't even know.
she's like, what? I don't even know where to go with
I don't
it.
even know what that means. I've truly given up on perspective. Perspective as in I mean perspective as in like planning it out with like a ruler. I usually just do it by eye now. I usually do perspective
Okay.
by eye. I don't even plan it. I just trust myself. Um, I think that was a huge problem. Like I used to just overthink it a lot, and then I would use a ruler, and it would make things worse. I, yeah, I just do things by eye. And then like what I think you notice from my work, it's definitely like more. Yeah, there's not a lot of angles going on. I mean, I in the future definitely I want to. I think one of the recent pieces I did, I kind of had a little like I had the hand being really big and the face being small. I feel like figurative perspective, I'm okay. It's really, yeah, it's like basically architecture. I'm sorry. I really, really don't like
I
it.
think it's
I've
not
never liked
it's
it.
it's one of those things that is so challenging that even architects have to practice it on a daily. The same way people that draw,
Yeah.
portraits have to practice facial composition and like making sure everything makes sense in relation to each other. We have to do constantly. My whole first year of college was drawing everything by hand. Like there was no digital anything. And everything architecture is digital now, so that sounds like boring, but that's how we were taught how to get into all of the things.
Yeah, I mean, technically the same for me. Technically, we weren't allowed to draw digitally either. My first year was a foundation year, so it was annoying. It was very fine arts, which like I don't mind, but I had to like I had to be in like a workshop, like I had to make a box. I don't
Mhm.
know. It was like why am I here? I'm wasting my money. I know I want to be it was a foundation year. You had to take classes from different like majors
Oh, okay.
to see what major you want to be in, but I think it was too fine arts focused. Like it was ridiculous. I
That's
mean, it's a,
different. They're trying to like help you figure out what major you would end up in. I never heard of
yeah,
that.
kind of like it's like a foundation. It's foundation year. Yeah. I don't know. It was just useless to me. I think it's kind of unfair to people who already kind of know what they want to do. And like what I said before, I think it was too fine arts focused because like
Yeah.
it was like sculpture, video, sculpture, video, surface, which was like, yeah, we had to, they like, it was like a painting class. They like made you paint. No, there was no digital at all. And then the drawing class, it was definitely traditional like pencils and ink and charcoal, which is like fine. You do need to know like the basics, but it's really interesting that like maybe it's gotten different now, but like the digital, it's definitely like more popular now. I don't know.
I
I
love this
mean,
piece that you're showing right now.
hmm,
I love this piece that you're showing right now. Like I know you're talking
uh,
about the backgrounds are like the harder part, and so this is flat in comparison to the ones that have more crazy backgrounds. But it's
hmm,
something about for me, it's something about or something should be said about the figure or the character having so much going on without them actually doing anything.
hmm,
like
yeah,
like like the movement in the fabric or just like the liveliness of it without it actually like she's not doing anything. She's just standing there.
yeah, yeah. No, I like that's definitely like my favorite part. Like at the end, adding these like little line. Like I've always loved like these kind of gesture lines. I feel like a lot of stuff I liked. I kind of like I've always like organic like shapes and lines, and I hated drawing backgrounds. And I feel like my teachers, they weren't against it, but it's kind of like draw. You have to draw a background. Oh, you have to draw an ear the right way. Oh, you have to like do, which is like kind of crazy because like especially now like editorial illustration, it's so like loose. Like it's so you know what
Mhm.
I'm talking about. They're like so
Yeah.
like all the shapes. It's very organic. Like it's very interesting. I feel like no one really. I mean, it's because of like the artist I see, so I feel like I look at like what I like. But I don't think a
Right.
lot of people draw as technically as they used to. I feel like it's very because like Matisse, right?
Hmm.
So like I feel like a lot of people are drawing basically like based off on like Matisse, like all those big shapes, all the plants, the colors, like red, blue, green, like
I
all the
feel
primary
like
colors.
I feel like I agree, but I also know how those professors are thinking because I've been around them for so long. A lot of
Yeah.
it is like, let me teach you the history so you know the basics, and then you can do whatever you want. But I agree with you where it can be a deterrent, and it makes you kind of like not be as in love with something that you probably would be in love with otherwise.
No, yeah, definitely. Because I was forced to take like traditional classes and I was forced to like art history, I was really not interested. It was, I
Hmm.
mean, when you got to like the pop art and more of the modern stuff, but when you're back in the Renaissance, it's like very boring. I literally,
Myself included.
yeah, literally because my art history class used to be at like 8 a.m. and everyone would either skip it or
No,
just come there and sleep. Like no one cared at all.
8
Like
a.m.
Yeah, it was
Any class at
8
8
a.m.
a.m. is not getting my full attention, first of
Yeah,
all.
but
Let's
then
start
art
there.
history is even worse. God, it was. And then they wondered like why we didn't pay attention. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I understand. Yeah, I feel like I don't know if it's gonna change, but I definitely think like the professors need to. I don't know if they need younger professors or the professors need to start keeping up with like current trends. But like,
I
I
think
mean,
it's a
yeah,
matter, for me, it's a matter of having a different way of presenting it. With anything you teach, you should have some kind of excitement behind it. And if you're just teaching me
yeah,
from the book, this one gets dry out. Where you only show me like what has been told to us that works and not necessarily something that might be different. Tell me why it doesn't work. Show me the work that didn't work at the same time.
yeah,
Show me the
yeah.
artist that failed so I can see like why this one made sense around that time. Because otherwise, I'm just taking your word for it. And I may not actually believe you. What if you like the one that they said was bad? Or
Yeah,
in
and
your
then
case, you like something completely different. It just never showed it to you. You had to learn on your
yeah,
own.
no, I was about to mention that a lot of like when I was making work, I would ask like professors like, oh, I don't know, they would show me like older works that like were good. I can't remember the names right now, but they were good, but it's like I had to find all these illustrators on my own. Like I wish they would like
Mhm.
I mean, I understand taking from history, like obviously like history repeats itself, trends repeat, but it's like they don't really keep up with the trends. Like they don't show you like, oh, this is what's popping right now. Like you could go this way, you could do this, you could be interested do this type of job, this type of illustration. They don't really in general, but my teachers were all old white men. So I think that was like definitely
That
a
might have
huge
been
thing. That was the main thing because like I was interested in fashion and beauty illustration
it.
and stuff
Hmm.
like that and I yeah, none of them really knew what that was. A lot of them were still like kind of in their old way. I remember like I had this illustration class and I don't know, do you know what mailers are?
No.
So back in the day, like
I feel like I've
illustration,
heard
you
that
would
term, but I don't really know what it is.
yeah, so back in the day with illustration, you would have to print all your work out, have like a little portfolio, and you would have to like email the
Oh.
you would have to mail, not email, physically mail, or you would have a mailer would be kind of like a flyer for your portfolio, like it would be kind of like a business card, and you would send those to
Hmm.
art directors everywhere. So like my teacher like was making us do that, but it's like 2019. All of us were like, yo, like we have Insta, we have email, like there's different ways, like this doesn't really work anymore. But like they're so set on like I mean, maybe not even set, it's just like their personal experience. They're like, oh, this is how I became an illustrator. Let me like show you guys how to do that. But I don't know, like
I feel like
I
it's something to be said about that too, because I feel like with every career, like you need to know how they got to where they are now. Like everything's digital now. So how did we get to this point? What is still the same in those, moves that we have to make to get to the career goal that we want? Maybe
yeah,
mailers isn't it
yeah.
because clearly we're not really all mailing stuff in the postal office
I
anymore.
think
Like a
that
lot
was
of it
ridiculous, yeah.
is social
I would,
media, talking to each other. But um, yeah, it's like how do we articulate like this is what happened, this is how we got to where we are
I mean,
without just reading from a book.
yeah, I mean, I feel like they definitely have to keep up. Like everything is definitely like social media, even fine art, even fine artists, the way they galleries find them. Like all these people, art directors, galleries, corporations, they find them through social media or there's there's like like art magazines
Hmm.
where you like submit your work and like you get published. That's what art editors look at. They look at like these magazines, these competitions. I don't know. Like I mean, it might be different. I know, like RISD.
Yeah. Hmm.
I feel like RISD might be more modern. I just feel like my school wasn't really trying to. I think it depends on the school. It just depends on like if they're willing to like be more modern or stay like stuck in their ways. But I think that's not gonna work for like too long, like especially right now.
So I have a question because we're talking about like the more traditional path of like going to school to learn from whoever. Whether or not you agree with how they teach it is a different story because I feel the same way. But what would you suggest to people that aren't going to school but they want to be an illustrator? Like, granted, we're still trying to figure it out ourselves, but
Yeah.
like, do you have any advice to people that aren't going to school for it, or maybe they can't afford to go to school but they still want to do illustration? Because we're saying how powerful social media can be in that way.
Yeah.
What would you suggest to those people?
Yeah, art school really is not necessary. Like, don't. I mean, for me, it was necessary because I had to get out of my house and like experience stuff. But literally, it's just looking at work you like, and like what I said before, just basically copying people, copying what other people do that you like, and then trying it on your own, see what works for you, see what doesn't, and then you're gonna fail a lot. Like the work is gonna like probably be ugly at first. It'll
Yeah.
get better because mine got better. Um, yeah, just
And to
practicing a
that
lot,
point,
and
I would say show it. Don't hide the ones that you
that's
think are
true.
ugly.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, like I've definitely posted stuff that I don't completely love, but it could get like a good feedback. And then you can always delete, like you control your feed, like it really doesn't matter. Like if you don't like it at the moment, just get rid of it later.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know, like I know people that are like actually pretty successful right now, illustrators, and they did not go to school. They just like it actually works out a little bit sometimes better because if you're not in school, like you're hustling, like you're like going to this
That's
event.
your push.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't have a deadline for a grade that's coming up. You have to work because
yeah,
that's how you pay for things. Or that's how you
yeah,
just, figure out what your craft is going to be in.
yeah. I think school really helps with like work ethic because it's like for me, it was constant projects. You finish this project, on to the next one. You have 4 or 5 classes that are completely different.
Yeah.
So you're working on 5 different projects at a time. Like it helps with work ethic like a lot, but it's not if you're already like naturally that person, or I mean, you can also like do that on your own, but yeah, it's not super necessary. But yeah, I know people that like they're successful illustrators like right now, and it's because they started hustling when everyone, yeah, was still in school. So that's why like I just got out of school. I mean, there are some people that do stuff in school. It took me a little bit longer to figure out, oh, this is what I want to do. Some people, if they know right off the bat, they'll start like applying for internships, start applying to
Hmm.
magazines, getting out there. Majority though, and people I know don't really do that in art school. They really don't do it till the end or until after they graduate. But then yeah, like what we were saying, if people aren't in school, then yeah, they're just hustling from like day one. And yeah, the girl I know, she's like super big right now, in DC. Um, and yeah, she worked with like Refinery 29 and all these things, and that's like where I'm striving to be. Uh, but I just like started. She's been like doing this for like years. So yeah. In conclusion, art school is not really necessary.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I think I've gained a lot. So my high school was the kind of school you had to have majors, and it was an art school. So I
Oh,
majored
that's
in art.
fun. Okay.
So I did get to do like traditional art and not just jump right into digital or architecture, from like a regular high school. So that was nice to have as a background, which is also why I'm able to like take a break from architecture sometimes, so to speak, and just do, I don't know, play with markers or color pencil or crayon or whatever I decide to use my medium.
Yeah, I
Um,
didn't know you were in architecture till you told me, because like that's not really on your feed
yeah,
that much.
I'm trying to figure out a way to incorporate it in my feed without it becoming an architecture page,
Yeah.
or like a page where I'm just talking about school because all my projects so far are for school. I don't have anything that I'm doing. I'm not like a licensed architect, so I'm not like designing for an actual building. Um,
Mm.
but they are very similar to my actual work, but they're very colorful, which is not the norm in architecture. A lot
Yeah.
of the stuff is pretty muted and like monochromatic, when it comes to the design part of it. or renderings for architecture. So I feel like I stand out in that way, but I just have to figure out how to market it with the rest of my work the way I do with like my drawings and whatever.
I mean, a lot of
Um,
people do that. Like you could definitely do it like on the side, like as a side project and like apply to galleries and stuff.
yeah, for sure. I can never stop drawing traditionally or making art traditionally just because it's my first love. Um, and I
No,
don't
there's
think
still
I'd
like
be my,
so many fine artists out there. There's
yeah,
no, it's not dead.
I couldn't be myself if I stopped completely. I would never be. I couldn't consider myself me anymore. So
Yeah.
it just it wouldn't work. I wouldn't have my architecture if I didn't have this part of me. So
No, I
um,
agree because like even I like when I first started like digital, I did feel guilty. Like I still
mm,
technically I still draw. Well, I don't do this. Well, I've been lazy, but I usually hand draw my designs first. Then I take a photo and then I put them in Procreate and draw over top on them. Lately, I've just been taking my reference pictures and just putting them straight into
popping in
Procreate and
there.
yeah, which is I see that makes me feel guilty. Like I didn't I mean technically I'm still hand drawing it, but it's like it makes I definitely like yeah, I feel that. I'm trying not to. I think I've been relying on reference pictures a little bit too much lately. I definitely want to get back to hand drawing my designs again, which a lot of illustrators do right now because even though digital is really popular, most people still grew up doing traditional. So I feel like it still doesn't
Yeah,
feel right to do it completely like digitally, like at least for me.
I think everybody's like I don't know way of working is different, and I totally understand that. I can't do any pieces, not even architecture, without sketching it first, which may take a little longer than some other people, but I always in the end I always am more connected to it because if I go right into making a model, it doesn't feel real.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
Um,
I don't know. Do you use SketchUp? Is that what you use?
I don't use SketchUp. I use Rhino, but I have used SketchUp. I like it a lot.
Oh,
I don't
I
know
just
that
like,
all the
yeah,
programs are
no,
different. It's a matter of like what articulates what you want to get across.
yeah, no, I told you like why I like literally couldn't use Illustrator or Photoshop because it's too technical. Like it's too like you can't it's not like hand drawing. Like literally the only reason I digitally draw is because I have Procreate. That really is it. Like I'd probably still be using gouache right now. Well, my work wouldn't be as good. Well, it would be all right. But whatever.
It'll be all right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to cut this conversation off. I have to invite you back because this is great. And just so people can, I mean, maybe see you draw later on, and maybe you'll teach me how to do something on iPad. I just got mine, so we'll see how that digital art goes.
Yeah, no, yeah, you should definitely get Procreate. I think it's a one-time fee and then like you're good. But no, it like literally for traditional like artists, it's like amazing because it you can still use like a paint, a marker brush or whatever. It just feels like more, it feels natural. Like it, I think you'll like it a lot, actually.
I'm excited. But thank you again for joining us. I don't want Instagram to cut
Yeah.
us off. Where can they find you? How can they, I don't know,
Oh,
purchase work from you? Give us the 401 before they say goodbye.
I mean, can they see my Insta? I don't know. Do I have to say my Insta?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Instagram. And I'm going to tag her too, of course.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, just follow me on Insta and then check out my website, which is in my bio. And I have nothing really currently going on right now. I mean, I have projects. I have projects coming up, but I can't speak about it. It's hush hush. Yeah.
Secret.
Yep.
Maybe I'm going to just put this out there because I don't know how your commissions are working right now, if they're even
Oh,
open.
I do
But
have portrait commissions. Wait, pause. Yeah, I portrait commissions. One. So
holidays
it's
are
like a
coming up, guys. This is a good
Yeah,
time.
no, literally, this is great because I was gonna advertise soon. It's like, yeah, I'm doing a digital portrait for $50 each, and I haven't decided yet, but I think I'm going to also like print them out. Like it won't just be digital. Like I'll draw it
Mhm.
digitally, print it out, and the person would just have to like pay for the shipping. So it'd be portrait
Let's
plus
talk after.
shipping.
Let's talk after.
Yep. All right, hit me
About the
up.
product
Yeah.
printing. All right, guys. Thanks for joining.
Okay.
Give Ania a follow. And yeah, look out for more work from both of us because this was fun. I think I'm gonna have to continue painting or
Yeah,
drawing or whatever.
this was pretty nice. Yeah, I liked it. I was nervous because I don't usually do this, but it was pretty cool. Yeah.
I think you were good. You gave
Yeah.
me a lot of insights. I mean, like I said, I didn't know much about you other than the fact I looked at your website, of course, but I didn't like know you personally, so I didn't know like any specific questions to ask you other than art stuff. So, but
Yeah.
I think
I mean, yeah.
I feel closer to you now.
I mean, we're both in like art school, and I feel like that's like whenever you meet someone from art school, it's like it's usually like an experience. Yeah.
We get each other.
Yeah.
All right. Ciao.
Bye bye. Thank you.